Charleston.
The name's
I
familiar.
think that's him.
Yeah, it sounds right.
So, and other a fair amount of plays, but I don't know him by face. But I want to say
the name
is
the name is definitely familiar.
Yeah,
and he appears to be playing sort of a band. I mean, this is somewhere in between Maverick and Esperblade, I guess. He's got green Zenith. I assume he has green Zenith. He's got a bunch of one-of-green creatures. Does he not have green Zenith? He's just got a bunch of singletons. Is that correct? Am I reading this correctly? He has like a Sylvan Safekeeper, a Galactique, a Scavenging Ooze, and no green Zenith?
I am 13, 24, 7, 37, 20. Unless it's in another pile.
All right, so he's playing like Bant Highlander, Highlander green utility creatures.
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, there it is. Green Sun. He has it in the creature column. That's why I couldn't see it. I was about to say, he's got Primage, Click, Knight, Hierarch, Jace. So, sort of for a while, Bant was fairly popular in a natural order progenitus type of shell.
Yep.
There were a couple variations of that deck that were just more in the good stuff space, and this is a deck like that. Just plows and...
It'd be hilarious, like one Dryad Arbor.
Listen,
no Green Sun Zenith.
I was looking in the spell column, man.
No Green Sun Zenith, no problem. Can we get a confirmation on Alex Sittner? I think he has a Pro Tour top 8 in Charleston, 2006.
I think that's him.
So yeah, he's got Spell Pierce, a couple Forces, so just like a 3-color good stuff deck.
So, I mean, that would actually be doubly impressive if it was him, because like probably the feature match was picked on BD's reputation. Like, oh, BT Zubs, he's a Pro Tour top 8 competitor.
Right. one of our better West Coast grinders for sure.
I'm racing Ruben on my very bad connection on my iPhone versus Ruben on an
to
actual,
confirm this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I haven't been able to be on Twitter and so forth this weekend really, or on iPad.
Both players taking a mulligan here.
As the internet connection in this hotel, like I think they made a dead zone to trick us, has been non-perfect.
Certainly, 2 cards that are very powerful and have not gotten played that much together, given how powerful they are with one another, is Noble Hierarch and Jace the Mind Sculptor. You get to be ramping into a fast Jace is one of the, in theory, one of the more powerful things you could be doing in Legacy. There's plenty of good utility creatures you could be using to back this sort of thing up. But Bant, sort of the good stuff Bant decks were popular a couple of years ago, fallen off the radar a little bit.
Come on, player list. Sittner certainly has a top 8 in 2012's Grand Prix Anaheim.
That was block constructed?
I believe you are speaking the truth. I know there's a player list here.
Ruben has just confirmed that he has a PT top 8.
And a PT top 8, right?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
No, Grand Prix Anaheim top 8 for sure. Player list is this link.
Alex is keeping 6. Both players on 6. Alex leading off with Tropical Island, and Vidi with an Underground Sea, and an Inquisition of Kozilek, revealing Knight of the Reliquary, Green Sun Zenith, Swords to Plowshares, and a blue card of Indeterminate Artwork.
Well,
is that some fancy brainstorm or something?
Maybe it's a fancy brainstorm. Probably because it went to the graveyard.
Yep. Choosing not to brainstorm response, simply allowing the Inquisition to resolve. Cinder without white mana, which he really needs to find to turn on his Knight and his Plow.
Well, this could potentially get him white, yeah.
Zenith for 1, yeah. VD briefly considered Force of Willing is going to pass on that, and Zenith for Noble Hierarch to turn on the rest of his hand.
Sittner, Alex J, perhaps John, did play in the event that I think. I can't. I actually really think that he has a Pro Tour top 8.
All right, brainstorm out of VD. Contemplating his 2 putbacks. Tropical Island and Deathrite Shaman. Sittner slow rolling his draw, presumably not a miracle here.
But he has the white. He has been established.
Yes.
VD, duly scratching out notes.
So it appears that Sittner is mulling between Vendilion Click and Knight of the Reliquary.
Seems about right. It's like a Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, VD has a Deathrite Shaman in. It's going to pass.
So, yes. So, Ruben confirmed Sittner has a Pro Tour top 8 from Charleston 2006. It was a cut to 4, but he finished in the top 8.
The team PT?
Teams, yeah.
All right, so that click is going to get forced.
So, both players, solid resumes.
VD was also the most dominant versus player of all time back in the day.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Better than Matt Baccio? Tony the Shark Sai?
Yes.
Adam Prosak?
Yeah. Adam had a nice career, too.
I mean, Baccio and Shark top 8'd every event they ever played in, and then they just didn't play after the second season.
It's not true of Baccio. Baccio grinded for a little bit longer.
He top 8'd a lot of events.
He did, yes.
Shark taught me how to play. Baccio let me take a move back every round.
It's good, man. VD looks like he's going to be keeping with his ponder here. And he's going to have he draws a Ghastly Demise for the Noble Hierarch and sends for 1 with the Deathrite Shaman.
Sittner draws.
Really needs to find white mana here.
Would you have just pulled the trigger on the second turn? Or third turn, rather?
What do you mean?
Like Knight. Knight makes all the white you ever want.
Well, it's probably better if he feels like either is very good to have in play. He's probably better test spelling with the click and then trying to land. The fact that VD was able to counter that and kill the Noble Hierarch is fairly.
Oh, I mean, I'm not trying to reason it backwards. I'm asking if you would have pulled the trigger.
I would have probably clicked.
Yeah.
I would have clicked.
So
But he does draw Tundra for a Knight of the Reliquary. It's currently a 2/2, but is wont to get larger.
Deathrite Shaman has an interesting fight against Knight of the Reliquary, right?
Yes.
It's like I mean, I think Knight of the Reliquary can probably get a little bit bigger than Deathrite Shaman can make it small. But Deathrite Shaman's like keeping it from getting too dominating, right?
Yeah, well, I think Sittner has a bunch of plows in his hand, so he can actually pick apart the Deathrite Shamans before he starts doing his thing with Knight of the Reliquary. He's actually at a high enough light total that he can kind of afford to take a couple hits from the Tarmogoyf and build up from there.
2 of them. It's kind of tough. Like, the interesting thing about blue decks, even blue decks with removal and legacy, is they're actually like, if you have a good hand, use your brainstorms and ponders, you can stop the first threat, right? Maybe the first 2 threats. But you're just pondering and brainstorming into actually a fairly limited amount of threats. You might just run out of response cards.
Yeah.
Like, you can keep brainstorming, but there ain't no like, your deck has 2 plows and you cast them. Like,
right.
That's it, right?
No, a lot of the cantripping and shaving cards for more cantrips is definitely effective if the game's being played in a very tight window.
Mm-hmm.
But the longer the game goes, the actual raw number of these copies of cards starts adding up.
So, I mean, Vidi's. Did you mention Vidi's lands? They're very impressive.
Oh yeah, he definitely takes some care in his lands. That's for sure.
So one Tarmogoyf's 3/4. The other one is Mystery.
Presumably also 3/4.
Oh. The mystery has been solved.
One would assume the same size.
Why are there no knight tokens? Like, I would like to know how big the knights are.
Because it's way easier to count lands in graveyard than it is to count like card types across 2 graveyards.
Oh, there's one.
So he's going to go knight for a fetch land and then fetch for a savannah.
And presumably...
Plow something. I'm actually not sure. I would start working on these Deathrite Shamans because I think your knights can easily handle the Tarmogoyfs once the Shamans are no longer a thing.
I completely agree with you. And also the Deathrite Shamans are suppressing the size of the knights, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the Deathrite Shamans
he's gonna start there.
Are keeping the knights from getting as big as they might want to be. Yeah, you gotta eat a land.
Yeah, for sure. Basically free.
Like, what if he just, like, slow rolls and he's like, I don't know, in response to eat a land, and he's like, Spell Pierce. How sweet would that have been?
Pretty awesome. So it looks like he's adding mana with one and then shooting for 2 with the other.
Maximum value.
The Glyphs are now 4/5s now that a land is in the graveyard. And now...
And the knights are only 3/3, I assume?
Currently 3/3, but... I mean, now they're going to... Yeah, he's going to plow the other Deathrite Shaman. Now the Glyphs can't even attack. Because they can both get fetches to get duels to become much bigger than the Tarmogoyfs.
3/3, so then 7/7s or so is the threshold right now?
Yeah. I mean, he could in theory run out of duels, run out of lands to go get, but assuming that's not the jam.
So Ruben actually said something interesting yesterday. I know it's hard to believe. He said his favorite, not a planeswalker, is actually Knight of the Reliquary. And I said, we're trying to talk about Staff of Nin or Druidic Satchel here, and he's like, no, well, it's just like you put it out there, it costs 3, and then just like grind ultimate.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
it's a planeswalker.
All right, so he's going to use the knights, spinning up some lands. He's going to use one of the knights to get a wasteland, of which there's 3 in the deck. So I actually think that he's next turn actually going to try to start locking him out of mana, go get another wasteland.
That's a really powerful strategy.
Yes.
And by the way, he's got these huge blockers.
Yeah,
And he has to bring one up to, let's say, 9, and then...
There's a Jit. I would assume we're going to knight right now, and if I were in his position, I would definitely knight right now and just wasteland.
I mean, you can knight... Yeah, and there's no point in loading up the other mana that you get from it to load up a Jedi, right? You just
Well,
leave
you also know that Vidi has played a Ghastly Demise. Presumably he has... He's just gonna equip. He's gonna equip Jet.
Yeah.
I would have found it very hard to fight the urge to just wasteland VD right there.
I mean, and he's bringing. How big are these guys? Are they 9s?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they're 9s.
Yeah. So exactly big enough to. Is Sittner really at?
And VD's just conceding.
Well, was Sittner at 6?
Yeah.
But then presumably 6, 7, 8, 10. He's big enough to withstand 2 hits from Tarmogoyfs. His guys were both tapped. Right? Like 9 doesn't kill VD. Leaves him at 12.
If VD's hand's really bad, then maybe, but it's like, if Alex is actually at 6, you can actually just take the hit from the Jit, and then if VD has some way to mill over another card type in his graveyard, it's just lethal.
I mean, like, how disastrous is that? Like, what if he just makes that play, and I mean, I don't know. If he has like I'm going to say like a stupid card, like a Vendetta, right?
Snuff out.
It's Snuff out, just like, snuff your guy, kill you. Like,
yeah, I guess at that point he's probably... I mean, if I'm in Alex's position, I feel pretty confident that VD doesn't have a removal spell because he would have done something about
yeah, sure.
the Knights. He's not just going to try to trap it
I mean, all I'm saying is I think that you gain a lot more certainty by waiting one turn.
Yeah. Anywho, Alex's Knight's definitely more than sufficient to take down VD, who's pretty compressed on resources.
Well, if the Deathrite Shamans had not been plowed to death, he would have had way more mana.
Right. And he would have also had range. He could have started just doming him out with the Deathrite Shamans.
Yeah, like we said, Sittner was down to 6.
Yeah. On our other feature match, we have Greg Hatch and Cedric Phillips battling. Greg up a game. Hope maybe we'll be able to get that match on camera.
So that would require Sittner winning quickly, probably.
Yes, almost certainly. Goblins versus whatever Hatch is playing.
Cedric's playing Goblins.
Oh yeah,
he loves Goblins in Legacy.
He did. He took a round 1 loss to Charbelcher, but I think he's rattled off 2 in a row.
But I heard he played against Eric Froelich. Oh no, Eric Froelich played against AJ Stalker in round 1. Charbelcher.
What's he playing?
I want to say Miracles.
Okay.
Miracles with Deathrite Shaman.
I saw Dave.
No, it doesn't really have Miracles with Deathrite Shaman, just Miracles.
I saw Dave and Eric in the house. You see Dave's deck?
Yeah, 4-color Deathrite Shaman.
Are you just messing with me again? Or?
No, literally just 4-color Deathrite Shaman. Okay. Like Deathrite Shaman, tap, make a lingering souls.
Okay. So sideboard wise,
You think I'm just always messing with people?
Yes. VD has a Dark Blast, which is pretty sweet against the Noble Hierarch deck. He has a Maelstrom Pulse, a Pithing Needle. All these seem like reasonable additional answers to neither realm.
Reasonable, but somewhat unspectacular, right?
Yeah.
A Maelstrom Pulse is good against two Knight of the Reliquaries. That's really good.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the nature of these bug control decks or Esper Blade. They have to play like a lot of 1s and 2s and 3s of their removal spells or counters in the first game because they have Brainstorm and Ponder. They're trying to hedge against a million different legacy decks, and so they have just a smattering of all the stuff. And then often their sideboards are just one-ofs of the same stuff, so they can just swap out the crap for more of the good stuff in the post-board games. And VD sideboard is
You don't mess with that.
No.
4x15.
4-4-4-3.
4-4-4.
But yeah, this is he's got a Throne, a Tugel Gary Charms, a Nile Spellbomb, a 2 Pernicious Deeds, another Force, another Spell Pierce. These sideboards, they look random, all these 1s and 2s, but often it's just about being a little more homogenous on the stuff you want to be doing in the post-board games while cutting your main deck 1s and 2s that just aren't very good.
So, I mean, is Spell Pierce good against Sittner's deck? Like, Sittner has Plow, Brainstorm.
The big one's Jace. That's
Jace,
the big one.
Yeah, and it's Spell Pierce got to be good, right?
Yeah.
But is Force of Will not that good? I mean, this is
I think Force of Will is fine against Sittner's deck. He doesn't have a ton of cards that matter. You know what I mean? It's a lot of...
Jide's powerful.
Yeah.
So Sittner has 2 Force of Wills and 1 in his sideboard?
Yep.
These kids, they just don't respect a combo deck anymore, right?
I don't know. I think that actually is... I actually think it's correct to just... It depends what you're metagaming for. It depends what other tools that you have, but in general, I'm an advocate for not playing 4 copies of Force of Will in your own fair decks. It's a little bit different. There's some decks like Fish, like Merfolk compresses the clock so much, and you're trying to force through Aether Vial, that 4 Force of Wills, I believe, just has to play. But a deck that has more broad answers, just also like Merfolk can't answer creatures, so Knight of the Reliquary and that kind of stuff you kind of have to answer through Force of Will.
They dismembers, don't they?
They could, if they want to dismember, but I definitely understand that deck playing Force of Wills. For a deck like Esper Blade, it's a lot dodgier because A, you don't have infinite blue cards, and you can play other different reactive cards that like Spell Pierces and Force of Wills and Inquisitions and Thoughtseize. Like you don't have to lean exclusively on Force of Will to defend yourself against the busted stuff.
How important do you think Force of Will is to the format, though?
Insanely important. Otherwise, it would just be a free-for-all.
It would be modern, right?
It would be modern, but you die on turn 1.
It would be like modern with Charbelcher and Breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Like Dredge and...
Charbelcher and Dredge in the finals yet again. You know? The format would be disastrous without Force of Will.
I love how you spend like 10 minutes being like, yeah, because you shave the Force of Will, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but you cannot possibly not have it.
No, other people do the work for you. So a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman for VD, matched by a Noble Hierarch by Sittner. VD's fetching on the second turn.
Here's the big question: is Deathrite Shaman a better card than Noble Hierarch?
No chance.
No, Noble Hierarch's just the best, right?
Yes. Deathrite Shaman's very, very good, but it requires a lot more setup.
Yeah. I think that there's going to be a lot of work required by whoever wants to unseat Noble Hierarch from his spot.
Yeah.
I just think it's the best creature of all time.
It's definitely in the conversation.
Certainly in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just does so much, and it has such a career across different decks.
Yeah.
Multiple Pro Tour champions, you know.
Liliana the Veil, turn 2 Liliana the Veil, pretty
Wow.
insane. It's
So-
going to edict away the Noble Hierarch, and an excellent start to this game for
Very,
Vidianto.
very good. Alex is probably sitting to himself thinking, maybe I should have Force of Willed that.
I think he would have forced it with a Liliana if he had one.
For sure, yeah, but I don't know if he does Force of Will in this deck right now.
sure. There's a Scavenging Ooze.
Scavenging Ooze versus Deathrite Shaman.
Yep.
So, Vidi's already got a sack land in his graveyard, so he can... No, he just used it for Liliana. Is that right? It's turned sideways?
Yeah.
Got it.
My vote for best creature of all time would go to Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, Snapcaster's #1?
Yes.
I don't even have Snapcaster Mage as the #1 creature in Innistrad.
Liliana +1. BD's going to discard an island, which is another awesome synergy
for-
there, because now he has Deathrite Shaman. He can make Deathrite Shaman make a mana. He's going to Wasteland Sittner's Savannah. And then what?
Just say go.
Okay.
Is his plan to block here?
I can't imagine, because then he's also just losing his Liliana.
What do you mean also losing his... Oh, because...
If his plan is to just edict away next
Yeah.
turn, then...
So you think he just eats the hit?
I think he kind of has to. Maybe he's casting a Vendilion Click right now or something? Okay.
I would be inclined to...
Okay.
VD agrees with you. Lily's dead. But that kind of deuces Lily's card efficiency, right? She got rid of Noble Hierarch and then went down to Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah, but even if he chump blocks, then what does he do? He edicts, and then what? So Thoughtseize from BD reveals 2 Brainstorms, a Knight of the Reliquary, and a Jace the Mind Sculptor. I actually really like this play. This is a pretty subtle thing from Alex. A lot of players' instincts, I believe, would be to crack their fetch land and brainstorm to hide the goods. But since his hand is so loaded, and that fetch land is worth so much with his brainstorm, instead he's just going to let the Thoughtseize happen and save his...
Yeah, he's losing something, right? He's going to lose something good no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. So instead, keep your fetch land, because it's so much more valuable when you brainstorm. You know, this, like, if he brainstorms on his main phase or maybe the end of VD's turn, next turn, whatever. I really like just letting that Thoughtseize resolve.
The man does have a Grand Prix top 8. Trivia question for later. Where did the brainstorms that Alex Sittner is playing come from?
Okay, so in response to the brainstorm, before Sittner has mana to use his Scavenging Ooze, I believe VD is using Deathrite Shaman to remove the Noble Hierarch from the game.
So prevent pumping.
Yeah, I believe so. Oh no, okay, no, we're making mana and clicking? Okay, that's what we're doing instead.
What do you think he's going to take? No, Knight of the Reliquary or Brainstorm?
I would probably take Knight of the Reliquary.
I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
I think he might take Brainstorm.
Yeah, it's not Jace.
Yeah, I think I would take Knight of the Reliquary. I think that VD very well might take Brainstorm. Wait.
He took
Yep.
Brainstorm, okay.
And then he has an effect to resolve.
Now
right?
he resolves, yeah. Now there's Savannah, and
Then chomp chomp.
All right, now he's going to eat his noble. Okay.
Scavenging Ooze certainly does a lot of work.
Yeah, that's another. Is it efficient? Does it interact with the graveyard somehow in a way that you can use proactively and disrupt your opponent? If so, recipe for legacy success.
You think like Scavenging Ooze is out there having a beer with Deathrite Shaman?
Yeah, they're just like,
look, new guy, this is how we roll.
Yeah.
In the legacy format.
So, what creature in Innistrad do you think is better than Snapcaster Mage?
Delver of Secrets. It has more. It has more cross-format success.
Let's wait for 5 years and we'll see what the conversation's like.
Fair enough.
Delver of Secrets' strength is very much predicated on specific decks being viable, whereas Snapcaster Mage is just predicated on spells being decent, and that's a much easier recipe to.
I don't disagree with you. However, I would just point out that both are equally available in Legacy. Snapcaster Mage has had substantially less success than Delver of Secrets in Legacy. Nobody named any deck after Snapcaster Mage last year, and now that Delver's much less impact in Standard, Snapcaster's getting cut like crazy from Standard decks as well. He's not running all over the place taking over the format.
Sure. So we have a Liliana here from VD, which has just been devastating to Sittner in this matchup.
And then this is a... There was already only one counter on it, right?
He's going to path his Scavenging Ooze in response.
That's an interesting decision.
Well, he needs to get up. I mean, he needs to get to Knight of the Reliquary mana, right? If he gets a stick at night next turn, he's back in business.
Maybe. Just discarded a card, you know? I mean, maybe not, right? Like, it's kind of rampant growth.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's dead anyway, and he gets to change. Now he guarantees Knight, and then the next turn, if that's in play, Knight allows him to cast Jace, and then he's got something going. I mean, what are you gonna? You definitely don't want to path the Deathrite Shaman or the Click.
Why not?
Because VD's so low on resources, and he's got 4s in his deck, and he can always use more mana.
Does he have a lot of basics? He has an island and a swamp left? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I buy it.
So the
I
creatures...
mean, why is path in Alex's deck then? You know, your plan is probably not to path your own men.
VD's like fairly... You know, he's fairly threat light. There's spots where it's probably fine, but... Alright, so we're going to try to stick a Knight here, I would guess. Yep, it's in.
VD draws. Brainstorm. And mystery cards. Looks like a tropical island.
A Delta...
Spell Pierce. Is that right? Certainly a tropical island,
yeah.
Right?
The cards in VD's deck are not cheap.
Delta... Is Delta an expensive card?
It's 50 or 60 bucks now, yeah.
Nice. I have that one.
Black Border Duels, Guru Basics.
I mean, he like works at this thing, right? He wants to invest a lot of his time into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. It's like somebody's golf clubs.
Right.
The hot rod that they like to ride around in, you know? So this is my thing. Presumably none of those things has a great interaction with Knight of the Reliquary, I'm guessing. It would be like snapped into his hand instead of like tanking here. You're like,
I think he has a land and a Pernicious Deed in his hand now.
Pernicious Deed is rather painful, no?
I mean, I think he's going to empty... presumably he's emptying out his hand and
so
then plus winning Liliana this turn, right?
And then... What? Like, leave back Vendilion Click?
No, we're just plus 1-ing, it looks like. Can't see what got discarded.
Well, he plus 1 with that... You say that it was a Pernicious Deed?
I thought maybe it's
He
something...
probably would have cast a Pernicious Deed.
That's why I suspect I saw incorrectly. And VD's out of a hand.
I mean, Alex is going to presumably go Mind Sculptor, right?
Well, it's a little rough to land Jace if he doesn't have a 4th mana, because he has to tap his Knight, And basically what happens is he has to tap his knight to make enough mana to cast Jace. He has to +2 it to survive the click attack next turn. And then Liliana gets to edict away his knight. And then he's at Jace with 2 counters on it, or 1 counter on it if he attacks with Deathrite Shaman as well, versus Vidi's board. It's just not a great spot to be in. Like, yeah, this is much better.
That's
This is
much different.
Yes.
So, Vidi knows his top cards. So presumably, if there was a way to answer a Knight of the Reliquary, he might have done so already.
Yeah, he probably would have done it last
Yeah,
turn if he could.
Deathrite Shaman first.
It's going to dome.
Clock, gain, whatever he's doing.
Yep.
Make a mana, whichever one it is. And then sacrificing the $60 card to go get... Oh! Vidi discarded a Deed, and Alex discarded a Jace.
Yep.
So, that is curious to me why he would have discarded the Deed instead of just casting it. Is there something in the graveyard?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Maybe it was just a brain fart?
No, he tanked a long time on that
He had the
turn.
mana to cast it, right? Even if he has to use just the Deathrite Shaman to do so. So, Vidi draws. Puts his hands on his spells. Oop, is that a Jace? It is a Jace.
A foil Jace to go alongside the foil Vendilion Click.
So,
I guess we're just gonna we're probably just gonna unsummon Edict, right?
I agree.
And now Sittner is just in a ton of trouble.
Well, you think he's going to Edict for sure? I think that...
I mean, you have Alex is under the gun here, and you have Jace with 2 counters left against a guy who's just clogged on action.
Do you see? I don't think he's going to Edict
sure,
it.
yeah. Certainly, yes. Getting Dried Arbor now makes that play much worse.
Yeah, I think that it's much more likely he makes a value discard where he himself has no cards in hand. Sittner has to, and like bounce discard is an awesome combination, right?
Yes.
Like at parity, bounce discard is actually just Edict every turn, while actually leveling Liliana up, not leveling her down.
All right, so we're gonna +1 our Liliana here.
And then, like, Click just has to stay back and defend Planeswalkers.
Discards a Brainstorm.
And Sittner at 12 untaps and draws a... He's not doing a lap, so... Attacking Jason Mindset. So he's going to take some bodies down with him, presumably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Click chumps.
Predictable. I mean, do you think he's just going to play the other Knight of the Reliquary?
I mean, yeah, he doesn't. Really, he has to play something. Like, Vidi has 2 just free edict plus free unsummon in play. You just can't sit. You have to do something.
Tapping Dried Arbor. He's tapping 2.
We're gonna Zenith for 1, maybe. Yep.
Yep. You think
Maybe
it's Hierarch?
Sylvan Safekeeper is pretty good here. It shuts down the brainstorming, the unsummoning.
Don't you have to
Yep.
sacrifice a land to do that?
Yes, Sylvan Safekeeper is Olerad's invitational card. That Zenith needs to get shuffled in. Okay, there we go. That's Olerad's invitational card. It's a 1 green 1/1 where you can sack a land to make a creature you control untargetable until the end of the turn.
So you think that Sittner's... He's just going to try to grind mono offense out of this?
Yeah, I think so.
I would be impressed. I think his resources are severely pinned right now.
I mean, it's a huge opportunity cost for him to use Jace to unsummon with Sylvan Safekeeper in play. He probably just has to brainstorm with Fate Seal now.
Well, why? Like he uses Jace to unsummon, and Sittner still has to sacrifice a land. He's like losing something. Vidi's spinning a die down. in return for a card.
Sure, but what happens? All right, so what do you do? What do you do if you go? All right, yeah, he's brainstorming here. Yeah, I think the risk is like pretty high if, like, VD's defenses aren't actually that far away from collapsing. If VD goes to unsummon the Knight of the Reliquary, let's say, and Sittner goes like, all right, sack my Savannah or sack my island, then now what's your play? If you Edict, you can just throw away the Sylvan Safekeeper or the Dryad Arbor, and then what are you doing next turn? You're chump blocking with your Deathrite Shaman, and
I
Sylvan
think
Safekeeper
that
still
he's
in play?
putting a Pernicious Deed back. I would be tempted to just take the Pernicious Deed, put it into play using the Deathrite Shaman, Deed for 1, kill the Sylvan Safekeeper, the Deathrite Shaman, and that kills the Dry Arbor too, right? And then Edict.
Yes.
That seems like way awesomer to me than just forcing a land discard.
Well, maybe VD's just trying to contract more of his resources. Like, if he knows that Sittner's kind of committed to his plan now, he can use some of his removal to force Sittner to like destroy all of his other lands, and then the deed sweeps everything away, and then the game's over.
So
Is it
we'll
editing?
put down to 1. I don't like that sequence because he's just going to sacrifice one of the things that would have died to Deed anyway.
Yeah, no. I at this point I would have, if he was going to do this, if he was going to cast Maelstrom Pulse, I would have actually preferred for him to +1 Liliana, because he's just trying to set up a big sweep.
So, like, he's actually vulnerable to 2. He has to throw the Deathrite Shaman away if he wants to keep Jace.
Well, if he was deeding, he has to throw it away anyway.
If he makes the Deed play, he leaves Sittner with a Savannah.
Yeah.
That's way different than the spot that we're in right now.
It's casting Abrupt Decay on the Knight.
Oh, this way he might keep the Deathrite Shaman, right?
Yeah, or no, because this gets rid of the last land. Now that Sittner's all in on the plan, now D takes care of everything.
No, if that resolves, then the Knight dies and the Deathrite Shaman doesn't. Right? It blocks.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, yeah. But he now does not have sufficient land to use the deed to get rid of everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess he can play the deed for 1, pop the Sylvan Safekeeper, bounce the Knight. He's not going to.
Yeah.
Right.
He can afford to take a hit, right?
I don't think that's the point. I think that, like, if he has all of his resources against, like, a single land, like, those Planeswalkers are... There's a reason that Planeswalker was banned in a format.
No, I understand. I understand.
Like, the non-mana consumption advantages that both of those cards are going to generate... Imagine just turn over turn. All he does is, like, brainstorm into a land, play a land, +1 Liliana. He does that, like, 3 turns in a row. There's just no... There's no out.
Yeah, I'm just saying from... I think there's been some incongruous play from VD. I thought that possibly it's find a way to turn, because if you think you can just induce a couple Stone Rains out of Sittner, then there's definitely...
I think that VD's was trying to +1 Liliana with the Pernicious Deed.
Yeah, we got to cast that for... Yeah.
And
now he's +1ing. So yeah, I actually didn't mind. There were some inconsistencies, like some logical inconsistencies. I did not mind VD just trying to Stone Rain him down, and then...
But he's just going to lose the Jace here. Like,
That's fine, but you leave him with no lands and you have a Liliana and play grind down his hand. It's hard to lose from that position too. Yeah. The risk is just leaving Sittner with enough mana.
I don't
after the
disagree
fact.
with
Yeah.
you. I think that he'd be in an almost identical position, but with a Jace in play. So, I mean, Sittner's obviously going to swing at the Jace, right? And he should probably send the Safekeeper at the Liliana just to keep VD's honest.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's just conceding.
Okay. Or that.
Sure.
But you see my line, right? Like, I think that the Pernicious Deed away the Dryad Arbor, and the Deathray Shaman of our own, and the Sylvan Safekeeper all in one swoop, and then just use J/Liliana to deal with the Knight of the Reliquary on board. Just leaves him with the Savannah on table.
He keeps an island too.
It didn't have it yet. Okay, fine. You say it does.
Sure.
That's like 2 lands against two planeswalkers and 4 lands.
Well, he has to lose the Liliana to Edict that turn, right? Because Liliana's at 2.
Does he?
I think so. Like, the problem is, from VD's perspective, is I think he has to lose the Liliana to Edict that turn. If he runs that play, now Jace is, you have 2, Sittner has some lands, you have a Jace with 2 counters, and lands in play. What happens if Sittner plays just a guy? Now what do you do? Do you brainstorm with Jason, risk losing your guy? Are you unsummoning that guy and then like hoping that next turn's better? Like, there's some risk in letting Sittner have some mana coming into coming into that turn where like maybe you take some shots, maybe you're just willing to lose your Jace there to leave him with like basically 0. You keep your Liliana in play that's grinding his hand while he's land screwed, and then any reasonable draw, a Tarmogoyf, another Jace, even like a Deathray Shaman or Click may be enough to just put the game out.
And in any case, Alex just conceded. I probably reading the board the way you're saying, like, I could do these things, but I'm ultimately going to be way behind with just a land or 2 in play, and he's going to grind me out with his remaining planeswalker.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely an argument for both lines, no question about it.
I actually quite liked how V blocked with the Deathray Shaman and then attempted to use the Abrupt Decay, forcing Sittner to blow like one of his last remaining lands to keep the Knight. That was pretty powerful.
Yeah, because at that point you're more than happy to trade your Abrupt Decay for one of. Bless you. You're more than happy to trade your Abrupt Decay for one of Sittner's lands. Absolutely.
I think perhaps I was, especially since he was just going to sacrifice the Dryad Arbor for the Sylvan Safekeeper anyway, thinking like maybe just getting an extra land out of the Pernicious Deed just kind of shortcuts the ultimate process. Sittner conceded for time considerations, so I doubt very much that either player's, going to the sideboard.
Right, Sittner was definitely not 0% to win that game, but he was very unlikely, and he needs time.
They want to avoid the draw, of course. All right, so Sittner, Misty Rainforest, and nothing further yet. VD.
Polluted Delta.
Sacrifice. 19.
And Niles. Yeah, it's Niles Spellbomb.
Interesting.
Good against Knight of the Reliquary.
Sure. Probably better than some of the jank that he has in his deck, right?
Yeah, he's got the soft spell permission, which is just not very good in this matchup.
So interesting. So basic swamp, kind of a tacit respect to Alex's ability to acquire wastelands.
Yep.
Sylvan Safekeeper. You like that guy?
I think he's a fine target to have for Green Sun Zenith.
Why don't people play more Ranger of Eos in Legacy? It's just too expensive.
4 mana is a lot. 4 mana is an awful lot.
I guess for 4 mana you've got Jaces and. Wait, is Ranger of Eos so much less powerful than Garruk Relentless? I think it's probably a substantially more powerful card than Garruk Relentless.
So we're gonna see an Abrupt Decay, and Alex is gonna. I think he's gonna sacrifice a land, his fetch land, to go get a land to then sacrifice to keep the Safekeeper alive. Is what it looks like. Well, Garruk Relentless feels. He's gonna path. He's gonna path the Safekeeper. Okay.
Oh, nice little technology there. So instead of losing a land, he gains a land. Safekeeper is spoken for, so it's basically a 1 mana rampant growth, right?
Yep. I think Garruk Relentless might just be a response to like other bug control decks. It's got to be very good in the mirror. Just kills Deathrite Shaman, and now it's another Planeswalker.
Yep. Todd Anderson was playing it in the Maverick Mirror for a while, I think.
Safekeeper?
No,
Oh,
Pyrrhic Relentless.
sure.
Which I guess kills everything.
Fight Mother Runes.
Yeah.
And
So
just lands in play for both players.
no blue for Alex. Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh, there's a
yeah,
Tundra. Okay.
All right, so he's trying to resolve a another reliquary that's matched by a Vendilion Click, showing a hand of
Click,
2 clicks,
click.
a Plow, and a Pierce.
So what do you take? The Pierce? Like the clicks imply ability to interact with the existing click, right?
Yeah. He's taking nothing, it looks like. Okay, took nothing.
No respect.
And I think Vidi just ripped Liliana.
That would be spectacular.
Well, no, because of the Pierce.
Oh, of course. Should have taken the Pierce, like I said.
Yeah. And there's also a Python Needle in Vidi's hand, so he did bring in the 1 needle.
Oh, I think he's gonna try to bait the Pierce with the needle.
Well, he has no way to really do that because if he casts the needle, like
Oh,
Alex,
yeah, Alex is
can't
gonna let it
pierce
resolve,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's nothing you can do.
Never mind. He's just gonna name another reliquary with it, right?
I would assume. Oh, we're
Oh,
Snapcaster, Abrupt Decaying it. Not bad.
That's actually sweet.
Yep.
I didn't see that Snapcaster.
It's a very potent creature.
The best creature in Innistrad I've heard. Maybe the best creature ever.
So Sittner's pretty far behind now. Something I really like about the construction of Vidi's deck is he has so many like small things in his deck to make him able to fight an opposing Jace, even if he himself does not have Jace.
Like, Vendilion Click just
Yeah,
gets
just
it
all
with one
the
hit.
little creatures, and yeah, he's got a lot of tools to fight it. It's
So those are legends, so
Yeah.
they
and yeah, he's
buff
gonna click
each
him in
other.
his draw.
There's no way I'm gonna allow him to have Liliana of the Veil.
Yeah,
What do you
Liliana is just so hard for Alex's deck to beat. Leaves him with a Needle, an Abrupt Decay, and a Brainstorm.
think? So Vidi could play the needle and then Abrupt Decay it, respond by brainstorming.
Pretty sick sequence.
Force of Will, his own Abrupt Decay, fail.
Alright, Spellbomb in the graveyard.
Draws a card, so is he gonna play the needle? He's tapping
What?
B.
No, he just sacked the Spellbomb. I think he's probably, now that the Knight's out of the table, he's probably, he's drawn a fetch line too. I assume he's going to Brainstorm and probably just put the needle
Bury the
away
needle.
unless he brainstorms into just nothing.
3 lands like he just did.
I mean, the Wasteland still has
Is that,
value.
or is that Mind Sculptor?
He says Mind Sculptor. The Wasteland still has value because he can cut him off double blue if he wants to, and he's gonna do that.
And he chooses Tundra. Like Tundra instead of Tropical?
It seems very close to the same thing. Probably.
With 2 Savannas in play.
Yeah, it's just.
So Vidi knows Alex has Spell Pierce, right?
Yes.
So you can't Mind Sculptor next turn. This is breaking fetch land. Alex looks a little flustered. Like he's quick playing a sack land there.
Well, he's behind on the board, and
he's
time
just
is
drawn
of the
like
essence.
3 lands in a row. We just broke a white blue, and we got a basic island. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay. 12 to 18, 2 minutes on the clock. Sittner cuts and uncuts his own deck.
Yep.
And Vidi not thinking about the clock at all with his non-attack, apparently. If that's me, my Snapcaster Mage has probably already been in the red zone
Yeah.
for a few seconds. Pre-combat's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean, Vidi needs to find some more
Forest.
threat cards.
mean, he has Mind Sculptor. You just like get up to 6 lands and then play it.
No, but threat, as in threat that can win in time.
Yeah.
It's a minute 20.
Mind Sculptor and Sacklands do a good job with that.
Is it needling?
What is that?
Deathrite Shaman, I think.
I can't tell. Yes, Deathrite Shaman.
That's a good one.
Yep, speeds up the clock considerably.
One half as many turns. 1 minute 1 on the clock. Alex Sittner taps 3.
I don't. Is the judge accused VD of playing 2 lands in 1 turn?
Yes.
Tearing up at this point over 18 seconds. This is unreal. It's 30 seconds down over this.
So we're waiting. He's going to click.
And oh,
He's
so
going
Alex
to loot away.
plays
Yeah.
himself. And time's about to hit, right?
Yep.
Looks like time. Untaps, so presumably turn 1.
Yeah.
So now it doesn't matter anymore. Look through your opponent's deck like you want. Alex Henry needs to do 18 points in 2 attack steps, basically. Think.
See what Sittner can come with. Tries to land a Jace.
Lands a Jace. This is turn 0. So turn 0.
Resolving his Brainstorm.
This is almost certainly a draw unless there's a concession.
Concession, yeah.
Like, I have a hard time imagining VD actually landing 10 points with. Well,
No, yeah, he gets to actually just do it now.
Well,
Oh no, sorry, he gets to clear the Jace out. Yeah, he can't really win in time.
the Deathrite Shaman isn't active this turn,
Right.
so he can do 4 and 4.
In theory, he can do 2/4/4, right?
Where's the
Because he
other
gets to
2?
attack with Snapcaster Mage next turn. Not
Well,
anymore.
he just plowed Deathrite Shaman, so
Right.
this is a draw. Turn 1 of 5. There's no Grave Titan in this deck, right?
No. Nothing that fast.
Tarmogoyfs, maybe. But the Jace is on the wrong foot, if that's... So, Mind Sculptor, agreed, in for 2. Alex has another Mind Sculptor, right?
No.
Elspeth, ooh, even better. Elspeth, when did she come from?
One on the board.
1 on the board. Great shades of Brian Kibler.
You know, in fairness, more people than just Brian Kibler put Elspeth into a deck at some point.
1 Elsbeth in every single deck. That's like a sign. It's like the bottom right-hand corner of a deck list.
Yeah.
Do you have 1 Elsbeth? I mean, it could be an Elsbeth 5.
Yeah.
Is it in your sideboard? Is this modern? Brian Kibler. Elsbeth's a great. I think she's probably the 2nd best planeswalker.
Yeah, I would say
really
so.
like her. What do we have? Is that the needle?
Yeah, Needle is on Elspeth.
And,
So we're going to Zenith for 2 to find a Pride Mage.
Pride Mage. Good read. And then, I mean, Sittner's just going to make an army, right? There's no point in attacking at this stage. Or should he get a point in? I don't know. Nope.
This could be one of those things where he's trying to demonstrate enough of a commanding board to be like, hey man.
Be cool.
Yeah.
the final turn then?
Yep.
So Sittner's like, hey man.
Had Elspeth.
Yep, there it is. I got it. Vidi's having none of that. Oh, Sittner's smiling. Maybe he is having some of it.
All right, looks like we have a draw.